What's going on, YouTube? Happy Sunday night. Man, what a football day it was today. My Broncos opened up a can on the Cowboys, and my fantasy team crushed it today, which is good. Because last week I won, but didn't score a lot of points. So now I know my team is capable of putting up big numbers. Anyways, let's look at some diecast before we wrap up the weekend. I found a few cars yesterday. Well, if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen these. But these are the Johnny Lightning Stock Car Legends, and they are awesome. This is old. I want to say 1998 playing Mantis. Very much resemble the Hot Wheels Vintage Racing, but nicer detail in my opinion. Although Johnny Lightning didn't do a Brie 510. But this is just a Torino Talladega. Really cool car. You know, you just don't come across these that often. You don't really, I don't know, it's older Johnny Lightning just seems like it's getting harder and harder to find. Before I show the other two of those, I want to show this. This is just a cool little find. Little Targa top Corvette. I wish it had rubber tires because, you know, otherwise it's pretty nice. Metal on metal. Now the top on this, I don't have my pointer. Let me grab my pointer. Whoa. The top on this, which is right here, is plastic. And it is basically just set on the body of the car. Now, the reason they do that, it's actually very common in diecast. A lot of the Auto World castings are made this way. A lot of the Johnny Lightning castings are made this way. And a decent number of the Greenlight castings are made this way. Number one, it saves a lot of money on metal, which allows them to try to keep the price down. However, it is a compromise on quality, in my opinion. But with a casting like this, it gives you options because you can make the casting based on the tooling. You can make the casting either a convertible or a hardtop or a Targa top. So 3 different options by doing it this way. I don't like the necktie, but it is a Johnny Lightning Father's Day car. And I have a 6-year-old daughter, and I have a son on the way in December. So not that I get too caught up with the Father's Day stuff. I know Hot Wheels always does Father's Day stuff, and I really couldn't care less. That's not why I bought the car. I just thought it looked pretty good. I definitely overpaid for this one, but that's alright. Still a cool addition to the Johnny Lightning collection. Now this one, as we get back into the Stock Car Legends, this one is really cool. This is an Olds Cutlass from Cale Yarbrough. By the way, the Torino Talladega, if you care, is from Leroy Yarbrough. I'm not sure the relationship between him and Cale. But the graphics on this car, I think, are really cool. This is like vintage early 1980s, although I think it's technically a late 70s. Let's see if I still have the card. Nah, I put the trading cards away, so I don't know. But I like this one. This is my favorite of the 3. that I picked up. Although the next one is really cool too. But you can really see that they really look a lot like the Hot Wheels Vintage Racing. Even down to the wheels and tires. Really cool looking. And then the last one I got is this one here. This one is sweet too. This is a tooling that has actually been out since round 2 picked them up. We have seen this in a couple different colors, but not with the racing livery. It is the same tooling though of the Ford Fairlane. And this thing is just awesome looking. Got the net there. Kind of wish they would have done more of a race car front end on that, but not going to hold it against them because I think otherwise they did a really nice job with this. It does have a roll cage inside. Really cool graphics on it. So those are the Johnny Lightning Stock Car Legends. And then I brought some other cars out because, well, there's a couple reasons. We'll start with this one. The reason I brought this one out is because I'm getting ready to pack it, and I just wanted to show it one more time before I pack it, because it's one of my favorite Greenlight castings. And I don't mean the tooling, I mean this particular release from County Road Series 5. They just don't make these look like this anymore. This casting has come out a bunch of times since in the all-terrain, but they just don't look nearly as good as this one does. This thing just looks killer. And it's a very, very, very difficult one to find. You just don't see it show up on the secondary market very often. If you do find it, I think you'd probably expect to pay between $20 and $30 for it if it's in the packaging. If you find it loose, maybe $10, $15. But it is so nice. A little bit of a bent spare tire holder. I don't want to mess with it. It came that way. Now, if you don't know, this one does have the removable top. I kind of wish it didn't, but that's all right. Now, this is one of the castings that I've been talking about with the release from Greenlight of these Ford F100s with the lift. I really want to see these Ram Chargers with that lift, as well as these old C10s. Those are the two that I want to see the most. I'd also like to see the Dodge D100s, but pretty much any 4x4 that they put out, I'd like to see a lifted release of some sort. But this thing is awesome. Fairly limited. Being an older Greenlight, they weren't nearly as mass-produced back then as they are today. Although I don't think there's been a big difference with the county roads, or the country roads, as it's now called. Those are still, well, back then I think they were 3,000 to 4,000, and right now I think they're anywhere from probably 4,000 to 6,000. But that's just an awesome truck. Some other cars that I wanted to show real quick. Another one that I got yesterday. This thing is just awesome looking. It's black, so it probably has my oily fingerprints all over it. But this Shelby GT500 is sick. It has some incredible detail too. I mean, look at the Cobra in the grille. Transparent lens insert headlights and taillights. Prototypical wheels. A very mean looking car. This is one of the few castings that I think Johnny Lightning, or not Johnny Lightning, but I think Greenlight does a better job than Auto World. They don't do that on very many castings. In fact, it's quite possible this is the only one that I would say that about. But to me, this is definitely nicer than the Auto World. The Auto World is a different year, but I'm not really talking about the car itself. I'm talking more about the detail of the Mustang. Because there's no doubt about it, the older Mustangs, Auto World does way better job than Greenlight. And Greenlight does a really nice job on them, so it says a lot about Auto World. I'm going to show this one. It's been a long time since I've showed this one, but somebody commented, or they might have messaged me or something not too long ago and told me to get a Jada, I don't know if it was an Eldorado or what. And then it made me realize I actually have a Jada Cadillac, and I don't collect Jada. I've had a lot of them come and go, but this is one that I've put away as to not trade or sell. And there aren't many Jada castings that I feel like I want in my collection, but this is definitely one of them. It's a really cool Cadillac, and it's a car. First of all, with Jada, they're usually a little bit bigger, sometimes a lot bigger scale, 1:55 scale in a lot of cases. Some of their older stuff is closer to 1:64, but that's one of the big reasons why I kept this one, is because it is a lot closer to the scale that I like to collect. And it is a Cadillac, and I do enjoy the Cadillac castings, so interesting Jada. Pretty good detail. Look at those seats. Not too shabby for a $3 or $4 car, whatever it was back in the day. I don't know when this even came out. It does say 1:64 on the bottom. There is, the copyright date is 90. It's not a copyright date. It's just the year of the car. So there is no copyright date on this one. But I think it's probably 10 years old or so. And then I wanted to show this because I've seen on Instagram there's a lot of buzz about this car with the new Hot Wheels release. Although this is not a Hot Wheels. Probably a little bit nicer than the Hot Wheels attempt at this car. At least in my opinion. I think it's a lot nicer, but that's just me. Very awesome car. I love this car. So this is from a Mercedes set that UCC Coffee put out. And this is probably my favorite car from that set, although there are a couple others that are really nice. But you have painted taillights, reverse lights, indicators, all of the badging is detailed. Nice wheels and tires. On the front end, you get better detail. The grille is painted, and then you have the transparent lensed headlights with the painted indicators. So definitely would, in my opinion, fall into the premium detailed category, which the Hot Wheels car culture doesn't fall into that category, in my opinion. I'm sure a lot of people would put that car in that category, but I just don't put the car cultures in the premium detailed category. If you put them, the reason why basically is if you have a display case and you put, you know, you can put some Greenlight and Auto World and even M2 and Tomica Limited Vintage. You could put all those brands, Kyosho, and you could put this on there and it would fit right in. But if you throw a Hot Wheels car on that display, it's going to stand out like a sore thumb. To me, they just look like they don't belong. That's not to say they're not awesome and fun to collect, because they are. I just don't think Hot Wheels should be displayed with this type of stuff. But I mean, you can display it however you want, whatever you like. But I just personally, I wouldn't do that. And then the last thing I wanted to show, I showed last night some different premium diecast brands to collect under the $10 price point. But I did show a couple of import premium brands that are going to be at a higher price point. And what I wanted to show here is some Greenlight cars and how I think they compare with some Kyosho cars. So first I'm going to show a couple of Kyoshos. These haven't been shown in a while. I'm going to start with this Toyota Altezza, which this is basically... The Toyota Altezza was never commercially available in the United States as the Toyota Altezza. However, it was commercially available. Let's see if you guys can recognize it. It was available here in the United States, but it was a different, totally different brand, although Lexus is basically Toyota. But it's the Lexus IS, I think it's the IS 300. And this is made by Kyosho. It's just a sick looking car, as all Kyoshos are. They're all very, very well done. Nice prototypical wheels. It's a nice roller. Does have a plastic base, but you do have transparent lens headlights and tail lights. One thing too that I wanted to comment on that I've started to notice with Greenlight particularly, I'll use this one as an example because it's an older Greenlight, and then I'll use this one. Well, let me find one here. Let me find a newer. Alright, so this is like a 2010 release. And then this Chevelle here is brand new. It's a 2017 release. You can feel the softness or the viscosity of the tires. These rubber tires are so much softer. There's so much more grip. I've noticed with Greenlight that a lot of the rubber tires seem like they're turning more towards a hard or a soft plastic, and that's a bummer to me. It's still better than plastic tires, I guess. I mean, because they're still going to have the detail with the tread patterns and all that stuff, but you can always tell a soft plastic tire from a true rubber tire. And that is definitely a true rubber tire. These are definitely what feel to be more of a softer plastic. So that's something I've been noticing that I've been wanting to talk about, and I just haven't really gotten to it. I don't know if any of you guys have noticed that as well. But the reason I mention that is because with Kyosho, you can tell their tires are super soft rubber. Very, very, very soft. And it really makes for a nice rolling car. The softer it is, the quieter it's going to roll, the more it's going to grip whatever it is it's rolling on. Not that it matters much. These are, for the most part, static displays. But that is just something I wanted to comment on. So anyways, so that is the Lexus IS from Kyosho. Here's another Kyosho. The reason I'm showing these Kyoshos, by the way, is because they are... I don't have a lot of late model premium detail diecast because there really isn't a lot of it out there. Almost everything is vintage, whether it's Auto World, M2, everything is vintage. They don't do anything modern. Greenlight does a little bit of modern. Auto World does, but not a whole bunch in their premium lineup. And I don't put their deluxe cars in this category. I don't even really put them in the same category as the Greenlight Motor World, and I'll explain why in a minute. But here's another late model Kyosho. This is an Audi A4. Very, very nice looking car. This and that Toyota are both factory colors. So, but anyways, the reason I brought these out to show them is because Greenlight, in my opinion, they do a really good job on late model cars. I mean, to me, these three cars here that I'm going to show you almost look like they could pass for a Kyosho. So here you have a Ford Focus. Awesome prototypical wheels on it that, you know, these wheels are pretty intricate. There's what looks to be a large amount of detail, and it really looks like Greenlight did an awesome job executing the replica. One thing I think I would give Kyosho a definite edge on is the windows. Maybe it's just because these are really dirty, but the Kyosho windows do seem to be a little bit cleaner. Another thing too is check out the base. It's a real basic plastic base. Now, there are some of these Ford Focuses that were released in the premium line, like the Black Bandit, for example, or the Road Racers, where they do have a metal base. But I don't mind the plastic base if the detail is like if there's this amount of detail, because you get a Kyosho quality, you get a Kyosho look, you definitely get a Kyosho feel. And I think a lot of times these premium detailed cars end up being better with a plastic base. I have found that you have a lot less issues with the axles getting jammed up, or issues with the tires, the wheels, and the axles. Just in general, the premium detailed diecast that I have that have plastic bases always seem to be more consistent, just in the way that they're made and the way that they roll and all of those things. So I would not be opposed to Greenlight going to an all plastic base. And you know, here's a question for you: would you rather if push ever came to shove, would you rather Greenlight raise the price to compensate for increases in cost, or would you rather see them go to a plastic base but maintain the level of detail that they have to keep the price where it's at? Personally, I would rather keep the price where it's at, put a plastic base on it, let's be done with it. That's just my opinion, and I wouldn't be surprised if I was in the minority on that. 6 months ago, I would not have said that. I would have said the complete opposite. But having gotten into these different detailed brands like Mini Champs and Auto Art, Kyosho, Konami, the plastic, the base being metal or plastic is really irrelevant. It really doesn't matter. So that's one car that Kyosho does that Greenlight does that I think definitely hangs with Kyosho. Here's another one. This is the Chevy Cruze, which Chevy actually just changed the body style on this car. So this is no longer what the Chevy Cruze is going to look like. This one isn't quite as good as the Focus. A little bit more of a stance issue on this car. Although it doesn't look too bad, there is just something a little off with the way the wheels set inside the fenders. But otherwise, a very nice car. Awesome detail. You can see all of these cars have side view mirrors that are painted. Kyosho doesn't even do that on all their cars. You can see the prototypical wheels. Another plastic base that's very simple, that doesn't bother me at all. That does have rubber tires with tread. But you can see transparent lens insert headlights and tail lights. So there's a ton of detail in these little cars. And by the way, these cars are cheap. Now, most of the Motor World stuff that I have came in dioramas because I really don't buy the Motor World stuff. Because I'm not a big fan of the high-speed toolings. But I think I actually might start getting into the Motor World a little bit, depending on the castings. I'm going to stay away from the high-speed castings, but some of the other stuff I might go after. But here's another Greenlight tooling. This is the last one I'm going to show. It's another late model domestic car. 2015 Chevy Volt, and thing just looks looks awesome. I mean, it really looks like a Kyosho car. It really does. I think it looks better than some Kyosho cars I've seen. From a detail standpoint, I think this is nicer than the Toyota that we just looked at. I mean, check out these taillights are sick. So what you have here, actually, this is a really good side-by-side. I'll show you what you have here. This look right here on these taillights is awesome, and in my opinion, nobody does this better than Greenlight. But then again, I don't know that anybody else even does that. Here you have the Kyosho, and what you have is basically a tampoed taillight. So that's just to give you the look of the clear lens with the red light. Now, what they've done here, you can see you have a clear lens and a red light. The red is tampoed on the back side of the lens. It gives it a much more realistic look because it looks like the red light is inside of the lens the way that it actually is. Had they took this red tampo and tampoed the other side of this lens before putting the lens on, this car right here would look 100 times more realistic and 100 times better. So that's a small detail. Those are the type of details that I notice as a collector. And I think, you know, I think it's awesome that Greenlight does that. And I don't know that I've seen any other brand do that. I might sound ridiculous, you know, just even noticing that kind of stuff or bringing it up. But it's the little details that make a lot of difference for me. So there you go. This is just a fantastic look, and they do it on a lot of stuff. Now they don't do it on all the stuff. You know, another example is the Ford Explorer that Greenlight has. Sometimes those have the reverse tampo. So I don't know if that's the right term, but they have the tampo on the back of the insert, and sometimes they put it on the front. So, you know, if I probably do have one of each of those, but that's where you can really see the difference, because you'd be looking at the same car. So this is what it looks like if you put it on the front. This is what it would look like if you put it on the back. But I think this is something that Greenlight does that is underappreciated. But as you can see, the lines on this car are sick for being a little hybrid. Just sick sculpting work here. I don't know who did it. It's probably done by computer graphics, I guess. But it is awesome. It's very well done. You've got your OnStar antenna right up here at the top. You've got your little outlet here where you plug the car in. You've got incredible looking prototypical wheels. You have side view mirrors. And then, you know, again here with the headlights, you have the same method with the tampos on the reverse side. In this case, it's indicator tampos and probably daytime running lights is what it looks like, or maybe just warning lights. But very, very, very well done. The side view mirrors look really good. You have the black molding on the bottom of them. This is a car, it's not a spectacular car, it's not a special car, it's a very basic, undesirable car. But it is a car that the only other company that's done it that I know of is Hot Wheels, and there's no comparison. While the Chevy Volt is not anything special to me as a car in general, I think Greenlight did a bang-up job on this casting, and I can't believe I just spent 5 minutes talking about a Chevy Volt. But, you know, that's just basically the point that I wanted to make, is Greenlight, with their late model stuff, they make them comparable aesthetically to what Kyosho does. So I would really like to see more of this from Greenlight, more late model stuff. I've been saying that for a while, and it's not just Greenlight. I want to see it from Auto World. I'd like to see it from M2. Maybe that would get me more into them. I'd like to see it from everybody. More late model stuff, you know. Because the classic cars of the not too distant future, the classic cars probably of the very near future, are going to be cars from the 80s and 90s. And if you don't believe me, just look it up. Look it up online. Because that's the next generation of, what's the term? You know, people that are starting to get middle age, midlife. A lot of those cars are going to be midlife crisis mobiles. I think that's really all I wanted to show, although I did bring this one out because I'm packing it up too, so while I have this out, I'll show it too. Really nothing to talk about with this one. Just let it do its own talking. It's a pretty awesome little car. Probably my favorite Aoshima car that I have. Probably one of my favorite Aoshima cars that they've made. I'm not the biggest fan of their style of cars. I know that, I forget what the term is called, but, you know, this customization is very big in Japan. And I think they do a good job replicating it. But I personally would just prefer a stock model or maybe a slightly customized race car version of it. But this one looks really good, I think in large part because of the color. And it's a Fairlady, and Fairladies are awesome. So anyways, that will wrap this video up. So before I end it, really quickly, I want to try to get a quick street view of these cars all next to each other. And then I'll set up some of these other ones here. Alright, so here's your street view on the late model premium stuff. I mean, doesn't that Volt look like it fits right in with those Kyosho? There is no doubt about it. It looks like it is meant to display right next to them. Same thing with that Ford Focus. Awesome street view. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do favor the Kyoshos. Kyosho, I think they are nicer, but man, there's a lot of upside right there with Greenlight. A lot of potential right there that I'm seeing. So hopefully they live up to their capabilities and bring us some more of that awesome die-cast. And then lastly, let's do a quick overview of the Shelby GT500 and the Stock Car Legends, as well as that Mercedes-Benz. So there you have it, 35 minutes, jeez. All right, well, don't work too hard this week. Happy hunting. Thank you for checking it out. And I will holler at the next one.